Hey guys, welcome back to Tip Tuesday. My name is Matthew Sturkey with Stone Mill Log and Timber Homes. Thanks for joining us. I had the pleasure of visiting one of our homeowners' homes this week. This was yesterday, beautiful home, and I was super impressed with how they finished it out. But one of the things that I was really impressed with was the crawl space. And you ask, why were you impressed with a crawl space and what's impressive about a crawl space? And today I wanted to talk about what they did. We've never really talked specifically about encapsulation, what it is, what are the pros and cons, and what are the tips for doing it. So that's the topic for today, is encapsulation. And what is encapsulation? Well, as you can see by the photograph, it's really the process of sealing off the crawl space area from the outside. It does not have open vents, and you don't typically insulate the subfloor underneath. You insulate from the footing all the way up to the top of the rim band of the subfloor, and then you put a heavy vapor barrier down on the floor or down on finished grade. And then you put a dehumidifier in and a little air circulation to keep a nice even temperature. So that's what encapsulation is. And what are some of the pros and cons with encapsulation? Well, some of the pros are going to be increased energy efficiency. As you can see, with sealing off the floor and the walls and the rim band of the subfloor and not having any open vents, you have a much more conditioned crawl space area as opposed to an unconditioned crawl space, which is what encapsulation is. It's more of a conditioned crawl space. So that's the first advantage or pro. The second one is going to be the increased air quality that you have, the improvement to the air quality that you have in the inside of the home, because you're ultimately regulating the air quality in the crawl space. You're not allowing that crawl space to have that moisture build up and some of the mildew and the mold that can kind of follow along with that. So improved air quality inside the house is another pro. Another one that is that it prevents moisture problems, and it prevents pest infestation, critters and snakes and things like that that have a tendency to get into crawl spaces when you have open vents and a vented crawl space. Those moisture problems are notorious for crawl space, especially in wetter climates where you don't have as wet a climate. Encapsulation and conditioned crawl spaces aren't as necessary, but it definitely reduces moisture problems and reduces pest or rodent infestation in some of those areas. And then in certain markets where you do have a little more moisture, wetter climate, a little bit more moisture, it does improve your home's value. A conditioned, encapsulated crawl space in the southeast where it's a little bit wetter, there's a little bit more humidity, a little bit more moisture. This is definitely going to improve the value of the home compared to some of the other markets like the Southwest, where it may be drier. There may not be as much rainfall, not as much moisture. So doing encapsulation in some of those other markets may not be as necessary. And then some of your cons are going to be one, the project encapsulation is not really a do-it-yourself project. It requires professional knowledge and professional training to do it correctly. As you can see by some of these pictures, they've taped off all the vapor barrier. They've taped everything off around all your spot footings and your piers. I've taped everything off all the way around the perimeter of your crawl space area to your foundation walls. And then they have sprayed the foundation walls and insulated the rim band of the subfloor. And you can also do foam board here. So there are different ways that you can encapsulate the walls, but it really requires professional knowledge and professional expertise in order to do it correctly. The other thing about the cons of encapsulation is it's expensive. On average, you typically see a 2,000 square foot home can cost anywhere from 8 to 10,000 and up. Larger homes can cost more. So I definitely would encourage you to get an estimate before you just jump right into doing encapsulation. But I do feel in this market in the Southeast, it is worth the money that you're spending on it. And then there's some increased upkeep and maintenance on some of the things that go along with encapsulation, like the dehumidifier requires maintenance. Your sump pumps require maintenance. Your HVAC system is going to require a little bit more maintenance because you're putting, some conditioned air down into that crawl space. So those are just your general pros and cons for encapsulation. And really the tip for the day is to figure out what best suits you. What market are you in? What climate are you in? Are you in a really dry climate where encapsulation is not as necessary? Or if you're in the Southeast where there's a little bit more rainfall, a little bit more moisture, more humidity, it may be something to seriously consider looking into and doing to take advantage of some of those pros and some of those benefits of having encapsulation. So definitely check into it, get educated, contact a professional to get an estimate before you do it. But I think, again, in certain markets, it will be well worth the cost of looking into and actually doing that encapsulation for your home. So hopefully this has been helpful. Sorry for the long Tip Tuesday, but hopefully this is good information. If you have any questions on encapsulation, feel free to reach out to me anytime to ask, and be happy to help. Thanks for joining us. Take care, stay safe and healthy. We look forward to you joining us next week for more Tip Tuesday. Until then, take care.